Hey guys, what is up? Whitey Apps here. One thing I've been thinking a lot about lately is how dependent most people are on systems they don't even control. Things like finances, mental health, even just basic stuff like that. And I'm not here to tell you that you can fully escape the system or whatever. I don't know how I feel about this concept of like escaping the system per se. But I do think there are ways to be a lot less dependent on it and to kind of rebuild your own parallel societies and institutions. And so these are just some of the things that I wanted to talk about. As I've been doing some of these things in my own life, I figured I'd make a video on it and I just give some input. So I want to talk about being more self-reliant, investing in yourself, and how not to rely on everything around you to hold you up, and learning how to function without constantly needing outside help for every little thing. Because we're seeing, like, with especially a lot of our world events and stuff like that, that the things that we thought were very stable really aren't that stable and are subject to change at any moment. So I've just been implementing some steps in my life to kind of keep me self-sufficient and not dependent on some of these systems that could collapse. So I just figured I'd give you guys some of my things that I've been doing recently and just kind of put the advice out there. So let's just get right into it. The first thing I want to talk about is money and investment. Now, I am not a financial advisor and I'm not qualified to give advice. In fact, this is one of the things that I'm still really trying to work on learning about is the economy, investment, stuff like that. So the first thing you should do is get out of debt. If you have car debt, if you have student loan debt, you're paying off a house, whatever. Thankfully, I only have car debt at the moment, and I've been working on paying that off. And I know that every situation is different, so you're going to want to do the best thing that you can for your situation. But the first step, usually by most of the guys that I've been watching and all the resources I've been looking at, is to get out of debt. When you're in debt, it's just a chain that keeps you beholden to the banking system, to the monetary system, stuff like that. And with inflation, your money is actually losing buying power as the interest just accumulates on your payments that you have to keep paying, and you end up paying way more money than the actual loan itself. The second step is to live within your means. So for me, I'm the only one who's working right now between me and my wife, so we only have one income to work off of. But I have heard from other people that if you have a double income house where both people are working, what you can do and what you should do is live within the means of the person who makes the less income. So, like if you have someone who's a doctor married to someone who's a school teacher, live within the school teacher's means because you have a safety net in the event that the doctor loses their job or whatever. The more higher paying partner loses their job, you're not like, oh crap, we can't afford, the house or the schooling for kids or, whatever it may be, because you are living on a higher salary than the lower salary. So I don't know if that makes sense, but to live within the means of the lowest income in your relationship so that way, even if the higher paying person loses their job, you're still not going to have a huge financial strain or issue. And then you can take the money from that higher paying job and then you can use the higher salary and the higher pay that's coming in your investments or savings funds or stuff like that. My next step goes very nicely into that is have a emergency savings fund. Most of the things that I see are about 3 to 6 months. I would say about 5 to 6 months of emergency spending and savings. And this is tough to do. You have to go in and figure out how much you're spending and budget your month and stuff like that. But having a nice savings fund, I really like doing a high yield savings account that has a higher interest rate, and you can just keep putting money into that, and then they'll pay into that, and then you just keep that. I have a high yield savings as kind of an emergency fund that I just kind of keep paying part of my monthly or my paycheck, and I just pay a little bit into that every month, and the bank also pays into it, and that's just kind of how it works. It is a nice little cushion in the event that something happens. The next thing is learn to budget, and these aren't really necessarily in any specific order. Just very, these are all kind of what you can do at the beginning of a financial journey, which is where I'm at. So I don't want to be talking about like stocks and bonds and stuff like that because I literally just started getting into that, so I don't feel qualified enough to make a video. And remember, I'm not a financial advisor. Do what you need to do. But learn to budget is a big thing. Figure out what are you paying needless expenses for. I'm a big fan of Rocket Money. This isn't an ad. I just really like their product, and it shows me all of my recurring subscriptions and kind of helps me budget a little bit more and gives me something to visualize. I'm a visual person. And then the last thing is find resources and use all the tools that you can. So with YouTube and books, that is a great place to go and watch stuff. Be careful about like buy this, meme coin right now, and avoid scammers and rug pulls. But like typically, you can find some really good information out on YouTube and on books and stuff like that. And even AI, like AI has been great for me. I have my issues with AI, but it's a great place to go and just get a broad understanding of certain things, and that you can even ask it very specific questions that you couldn't really ask like in a YouTube video from like 8 years ago that has like really good financial advice. We all have a channel like that that has videos that are super old that we still go back and watch every now and again. I know I have that. And then another big part is if there's someone in your life who knows about this and that you trust, ask them. I mean, I was talking to my brother-in-law recently, having him help me with some investment stuff. And so, I mean, really that's like the biggest thing is learning how to budget, having an emergency savings fund, live within your means, and get out of debt. And you can just find resources everywhere that you can. So that's my first thing is for your money and stuff like that. Now is to just learn new skills and to learn new things. Read, watch YouTube videos. The internet is a great place to find free information. A lot of the like you go into some of these more modern YouTube videos and it's like this guy's explaining everything that I learned at university for 4 years in a 20-minute video. It's like the resources out there are so incredible right now. To not use it is just silly to me. Like that's how I started doing a lot of this. I just was, type into YouTube any subject I'm interested in and watch some videos on it. So that's the first thing. Another thing you can do is get library cards. Most of the time they're free through your public library if you don't have access. I just like having a library card too. I like going to the library. It's a quiet place to go and study, even if you're just, using the computers and stuff like that. I like having a library card. It also gives you digital access to books, especially on things like Audible. Through your library card, you can get access to audiobooks. So if you're not, if you're a busy guy or you're, a truck driver or something like that, you can listen to books while you're, driving at work like me, or, if you're at the gym, you can listen to an audiobook. Like that's stuff that I like to do as well. Another thing you can do is learn to fix things that break. Don't just go out and buy new stuff because it broke. Like, obviously, there are some things that if it breaks, you have to go and get something new. But really learn how to fix things that break. And if you can't fix it, well, you tried, and you're not going to break it anymore if you disassemble it and learn about some of the different parts. I know that growing up, I would do that a lot. Is I would have some old stuff. Like if I had an old knife that had a bunch of different, screws in it, I'd pull the screws out and see how it was built and then put it back together. I had a paintball gun. I would do that too. I probably took apart that paintball gun like probably 8 or 9 times a year just for the fun of it. But that's the thing is like just take things apart and then put them back together. And you'll be shocked how much you learn about yourself. And if you enjoy puzzles like I do and stuff like that, it's a great way to just learn how something works. And then if it breaks, you can say, oh, I know exactly what part that is, how to get to it, and how, easy it'll be to do. And the next thing is within the learning and reading is to keep up in the news. Now, be careful with this. You don't want to black pill and be, a constant internet online chud all day. But use paywall breakers if, to keep your subscriptions down. I'm a big fan of paywall breakers to read news articles and stuff like that. The third thing to do to invest in yourself is to go to the gym, work out, and be healthy. Now, this is a very simple thing to do. If you need resources, books, and YouTube, again, the internet is a great place to find resources. AI can help you make a gym plan. You just put in some information and, again, I don't like AI a whole lot. I think that it's an interesting thing that needs to be regulated, but you have AI, it can just build you a workout plan to, the akin to like a personal trainer that will charge you $5,000, you know what I mean? Get a membership to a gym. If you can't afford a membership or there's not a good gym near you, you can do at-home calisthenics. Again, YouTube videos, calisthenics beginner 101, any variation of that. Go for a walk around the neighborhood, go for a walk in your town, go for a walk, go for a run, go for a jog, do sit-ups, push-ups, squats. It's not that difficult to start, you know what I mean? Now, obviously, if you have different fitness goals, like you want to be the next Mr. Olympia, there are some, you can't really do that at home, but you get what I'm trying to say is like to just start and to just begin to get a little bit healthier every day. Go on a walk, go on a run, 10,000 steps, track your calories, stuff like that. Just keep your body in tune. I mean, you're using people that are having to use AI to get through medical school and are cheating to get through medical school. And especially with all the DEI and the hiring and stuff like that. It's like those are the people who are going to be in the future the ones taking care of you, and I don't know how much I trust them, so I need to take care of myself. Make more food at home. I can understand going out if you're in a pinch or you're traveling or whatever, but even then you can still make food at home. Go buy some chicken from your local grocery store. It'll be way cheaper than going and buying a chicken chipotle burrito bowl or whatever, right? And just learn how to cook and just invest in those skills in yourself. I promise it's worth it. It has helped me so much. The next thing in my notes is just titled Have at Home Resources. I don't really know what to call these, but I've started a garden in my windowsill and in my backyard. I've got some onions, carrots, basil, some rosemary, some herbs in the windows, and some small vegetables in the backyard in a garden that I started. It's not that difficult. You just go to the store and you buy some seeds, and then you plan out. You can use AI, you can use different online resources, and just say, hey, little window garden, what grows best in the window, stuff like that. Now, I'm thankful enough and lucky enough to be able to have a good neighbor with us who we co-own a bunch of chickens together, so we have fresh eggs and chickens in our backyard. And I know that not everybody has that ability, but I've totally noticed a difference just being more in touch with nature and just taking care of this creation that God has put us in stewardship over. It's an amazing thing that I've learned doing a bunch of this stuff. And if you don't have the ability to have chickens and eggs and stuff like that, go to your local farmers markets if you can. Meet your local grocers and your local farmers and your small town businesses. I'm a big fan of investing in small businesses and local businesses, especially if they put their name to it. I think Jimmy Talks was talking about how if someone puts their last name or even their first and last name on a business, it means that, they are depending on the community to trust them. And so I like to just support small businesses and local businesses as much as I can. And then the next thing that I like to invest in for myself is physical media. And this is a really slept on secret. I love thrift stores. I've gotten so many books from thrift stores. I've gotten so many secondhand books, so many great resources. The amount of like do-it-yourself at home repair books I've seen at my local thrift stores are just insane to me. And they were all written in like the 80s and the 70s, and so that they're going to have some great quality information in there. On that same note, I'm a big fan of DVDs, discs, video games, just having the physical media. One, because I don't have to sit there and wait for it to download or update every 5 days that I want to play it, and it like takes longer to download and update than by the time that it finally does. I'm like, oh, I don't want to play this anymore. Let me just go back to Black Ops 1 on the 360. You know what I mean? I'm also a big fan of flash drives of downloaded movies and other resources. With the internet and the crackdowns that I think will be coming in the next several decades, it's good to have, even within the digital physical media, having your own way to disconnect it from the internet and stuff like that. Now, I'm not advocating for piracy. I just like having downloaded movies and videos and stuff like that on flash drives that I can go back and watch and save in the event that they ever get nuked off the internet. Now, in conclusion, I'm not saying that you need to go and live in the woods and completely disconnect from society and like totally escape the matrix. I don't even know if that's really possible, to be honest with you. I just think that becoming more capable and self-reliant is important, and that you need to invest in yourself. You are the most important thing that you own, because no matter what happens, no matter who's telling you to do something, it's always you that will end up having to either live it out or to deal with the outcomes of it. And so you need to be invested in yourself. And I'm a big proponent of this, especially now with learning skills, taking care of yourself, building real stability for your family and in your family life and in your friends and with your friends and stuff like this. And that stuff really matters. Like go out and meet people, go out and be in the real world. You know what I mean? And honestly, even just trying to improve in those areas already puts you ahead of where most people are. Like the amount of times that I've had adults tell me that, like as a 22-year-old, some of the stuff that I'm doing now, they're so far ahead from where they were at when they were 22. It feels good, to be honest. It feels a little good. It feels nice to know that, I have, some time on my side, especially with finances and learning. I'm only getting older. And even though I'm not very old, I still want to learn as much as I can now so that I can pass it on to my children. And those are just my thoughts on it. I'm curious as to what you guys think. Let me know in the comments. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you like this form of content? Thank you guys again for all the views and all that, remember to like and subscribe and hit the bell notification if you want to get notified about my videos. And I love you guys. Pray for you guys. Never doom. America first and always. And I'll talk to you guys later. God bless.